Good evening, I am Chris Marshall. It's shop night and you know what that means. Join us for lap 21. I'm with my guest here, Lou Goss, the Big LG, the 2023 FRC Super Late Model Rookie of the Year. Your friend of mine, the Big LG, Lou Goss. Lou, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a great weekend. Got back to some things over the weekend, got to relax a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But, tonight we had some very important car things that we had to do.
Yeah.
So, Lou, without any further ado, what kind of things did we have to do tonight?
Well, considering last week at the track was kind of a short night, we'll get to that in a second. We didn't have a ton to do as far as like our normal stuff because we only put on about, 12 hard laps on the car maybe. So we were kind of working on some gains tonight, right? We worked on a little brake cooling project to help with some of our, tire heat situation that we experienced during a race. And that was a big thing for tonight, is kind of work on some of that brake cooling stuff, really.
Yeah, it was very neat too, kind of what we found out with that. So kind of putting the hoses in there to help cool the brakes off. For me, I build model cars, so one of the things that I do, I just glue it and put it on there, and I don't really have to worry about it. But we had to kind of simulate what it would be like when you're in a race and you're going into one, making sure that this isn't wrapping around any of our things, such as the control arms or breaking off into the engine and creating any debris or anything that would maybe ruin our day or somebody else's.
Yeah, you would think that maybe that's kind of a trivial thing, is routing that brake hose, right? But it's a, 3-inch brake hose, I guess, and it's fairly flexible, but you get it kind of tucked into that tight engine bay area around the control arms and everything, and all of a sudden it kind of feels like you're out of room a little bit. So yeah, we turned the wheel left and right quite a few times and routed it a couple different ways and put our ducks in the front, and I think we were onto something, but we didn't quite finalize it, so we'll button it up tomorrow. But we used to have brake cooling, and then there were some situations that we've removed it. But I think now we definitely see the advantage of getting some brake cooling back in there. So we've got the duct work, we got the hoses, we got the ducts hooked up. We always had them hooked up to the spindles. We just didn't put the hose on it and attach it to the duct in the front.
Yeah, because I noticed we didn't run that last year on the car, so this is just something that we're just trying to kind of help with that tire thing that we've been experiencing with that new tire. Now, the cool thing I got to do was exercise some of my talents. I got to paint the vents on there, so if there's anything that I'm good at, it's painting. Even though I didn't paint the car, but I did those, brake vent or the screens there, so I think those are going to look really cool. So when you see the car zipping around the racetrack, just remember I helped.
That's right, Chris does.
Now, Lou, we had a race at Wisconsin International Raceway. It was a very special night. It was the Rob Vandermoss Memorial. As I say, we went to Wisconsin International Raceway. A race broke out. Unfortunately for us, we kind of ran into some issues. Here, we'll get into that a little bit, but we did roll into practice. Car had some speed. How did everything feel for you? Yeah,
the car in practice was pretty good. We were on a different set of tires for our practice set this week. We had the first 4 weeks. We were on the same tires, so car was very consistent. This week we were started off on the new set, so we were kind of figuring that out a little bit. But then, we threw on our race set, and man, I think we're onto something. Thing is turning great now.
Now, after practice, we had qualifying. Qualifying was very eventful.
Yeah.
The first lap, you were setting the tone for it in the first lap, and then Lou Goss was not safe?
No, Lou Goss was safe.
Safe, okay.
Yeah, according to Mark, right? Didn't hit anything. But, I could tell even in the scuff session how well the car was turning on our race tires. And same thing in qualifying, and I really kind of was just testing the limits, right? And it turned so well, I really wanted to see how far it would go, and it just kept on turning until it just came right around. But, stood on the gas and kept it out of the wall and just kind of backed down the grass after the first lap. But, that first lap didn't set the world on fire, but we've done plenty of second laps that were even slower than that first one. So just really proud that we were able to make those gains. You know, those couple adjustments we made last week, and getting on those tires really made a difference.
Now, before everything happened, or after everything happened, we were getting ready to go into the heat races.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm just going to let you know, going into the heat races, we had everything set with the adjustments that we were going to make. But something happened. We were dealt a very different hand.
Yeah, I think the rain showed up.
Yes, it did. It showed up quite a few times.
It did. We could kind of see it rolling in when it was kind of skirting past the track for quite a while, but it just kept inching closer and closer. And eventually the winds changed and blew it right over the track. And we hurried up and got the car in the trailer. We have a car cover, but it's always best if you can, I think, just to get them right in the trailer. That way everything's perfectly dry. You don't have any moisture problems on anything. With these things, they're not sealed up like street cars, so a little bit of moisture can kind of screw some stuff up.
Especially with some of the electrical stuff we have in there. So we pushed the car in, pushed the car back out, and we went to the driver's meeting. We had another driver's meeting. And in this driver's meeting, they kind of, there's some things that they kind of wanted to maybe come to an agreement on.
Yep.
And just could you elaborate a little bit on that and just how important that was for us to, go and try to attempt, getting this in, or...
Yep, and it's always a struggle anywhere, but especially at WIR, I would say, between safety and getting the race in and, running into curfew, running too late, right? Mm-hmm. It's such a balance. And it rained at a time where it was like, what was it, about 7:30?
Yeah, 7:30-ish.
Ish, yeah. And it rained pretty hard, but only for like 10 minutes. 15 minutes maybe, rained really hard, and then literally pushed the car back out and went to this meeting. And some of the safety trucks had already started to make some laps, try and get some heat in the track, started to dry it. Well, there's only 6 of them out there, so us, the half-mile cars, and quarter-mile cars, quarter-mile, 8 miles anyhow.
Kroll 8 miles.
Kroll 8 miles were out there, and went out there trying to help dry the track. And sure enough, I could see it. It was starting to the racing line was getting pretty dry.
Yeah.
You get 2 lanes there, but you get off a foot either way, and you'd be in trouble on the wet. And we pulled it in, and I was sort of mentally preparing myself to go back racing. But then as soon as we pulled in, basically, they had called it. And, it started to get pretty late by then. It was like 9 o'clock.
Yep.
The track was probably like half dry. Like I said, the racing line was pretty good, but much off of that was not very good.
From where I was standing at the bottom, I could see where it was gray.
Yeah.
Where it was drying, and then it was dark up top.
Right.
So I could see it was dark up top. They were kind of telling you guys in 3 and 4 to get lower in 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it going, we'll have them get up there. Because if you get somebody up high in 3 and 4, let's say you guys go back racing, the way it settles is it's all up top.
Yeah.
And so if you get up too high in 3 and 4, the tires get a little wet, there's a possibility you could end up wrecking the car.
Yeah, that would be no good, right? Because then you don't have any way to slow the car down, right? You just go into that thing full speed on the wet, and that'd be no good. So they called it, and that was a wrap.
Now, I'm going to let you know, Lou, there was some racing on the track. So we did have some of the other classes running their features, but there was also another race. So I raced up to meet Mark Martin. And so I raced up to meet Mark Martin along with a crew member that was helping us. And we raced to get there to Mark Martin, have him sign one of my Winn-Dixie cars and some other stuff that I had. So I had to make sure that I could get there. And at the time, I didn't know. But I was making sure that we could get up there, and by the time Lou, got the car down on jack stands and was ready to go, I still had my headset on and everything, but, and I was ready to go, no matter what. So I was looking back, and, one of the guys that was working the line there, Jason, had told Mark, yeah, this is Chris, he does this, and Mark said to me, hey, bud, that's pretty cool. And I went, oh my gosh, and I shook his hand and stuff like that again, and Mark's got some pipes on him. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Oh, yeah.
But so after we got all that done, we got the car set and everything. Even though we didn't get any racing in, how did everything feel? Just being out there, even though we didn't get the race in?
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that, knowing that, hey, I was prepared to go racing, now we're not? Are you kind of relieved, or?
Well, first of all, I was proud that the car worked so well in qualifying. I mean, generally you don't, chalk up a spin out to a car working well. Well, considering this car, we've struggled for a good part of this first year to have it turn at all.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it would basically turn itself around, I was pretty excited about. So I'm excited to go back and check that out on a full race night. But yeah, just with the rain coming and going, right? And maybe if I was in a little different situation where I literally just showed up with my helmet or whatever, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But partially how I run this whole thing, right? Is it gonna rain? Is it not gonna rain? Guys get the cover out, push the car in, right? I'm sort of kind of coordinating that whole thing, right? And then on top of it, all of a sudden I go out there to help drive the track, right? I'm helping to drive the track, and now I got to get in this mental state to. I think we're gonna go back racing. Really, I was trying to get back into that. That's a conscious thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
As I go from one thing to the next, is like, all right, I went from coordinating some work with the crew to wondering if it's gonna rain to, hey, we're gonna put our practice tires back on because we're gonna go and drive the track.
Yeah.
And I'm out there trying to drive the track, and then Chris comes on the radio and he's like, hey Lou, how's the track look? I'm like, it's getting somewhere.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, all right, back into race mode, and you kind of just, start to try and zone in on that, right? That's the ultimate goal for the night, is to run well in the race. So kind of switching gears, no pun intended, but I mean, that's essentially what I'm trying to do, is mentally make those changes.
And the fact that we got out of it still with tires that are in fairly good shape.
Yeah.
And, we didn't put any new marks or anything on the car.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about you, but I'm going to call that a win.
Yeah, it made for a pretty light night tonight, for sure, right? The track impounded all 4 tires for the night, so we don't have to go buy any tires this week. We hadn't even burned off all the fuel.
Yours only a little bit.
Yeah, fuel was topped off, so we'll go get a couple gallons, but that allowed us to kind of make our gains on our brake cooling, so which is great and relatively easy night.
Now, Lou, we head into another race this Thursday night. How you feeling going into this race this week?
I'm excited, per usual, but especially since we got this thing turning so well. And I believe it's Veterans Night. So, that pulls on the heartstrings of our buddy here, Chris Marshall, right? Veteran himself, and I'm a son of a veteran, so guys, veterans come out and enjoy the races, but always a special night.
Yeah, now, Lou, I'm going to shift gears here a little bit because I do want to mention some things that happened over the weekend. So, there was a race out in Marshfield. Mm-hmm. So, some of the people went to Marshfield. A race broke out there, and I do want to congratulate Jerad the Boer for picking up a feature victory at Marshfield. Very tough track to race at. We've been there. It's had a lot of fun there, and the Boer is super nice. That crew's super cool, and I've been really happy for them. They've been fast.
Oh yeah,
there at Marshfield. So that's a very big victory for them, and I do want to congratulate them on the victory. Also, I got some special stuff that I kind of want to talk about that we're going to do
What you got,
here.
Chris?
So check this out. So after the race, we're going to have some really cool things. If you have kids that come down to the racetrack, I have something really cool that's in here. No, this is not all the money that we made from DJ's Speed Zone from selling our T-shirts. Just going to let you know, if it's fast, DJ has it.
That's right.
So we got some really cool things in here. We have some die-cast cars that we're going to have out on the car for the kids. When they come by, hang out, meet the man himself, the big LG Lou Goss, and we'll have some really cool die-cast cars for you.
You're right. So these are from, there's a whole bucket here. These are from Chris's personal collection. Thought he'd clean up his closet a little bit.
Yeah.
And so he's gracious enough to, we're going to give these away. Some of them aren't even signed. I'm not even going to say which ones they are. There's some big names in there that are signed.
I think they'll be surprised to see them. I'll say one of them might be a NASCAR champion and the other one might be a track champion.
Right.
That signed them. So I think it's going to be really cool, for me to give those away. I'll tell you what, when I went through this at the beginning, I only had 2 in the giveaway pile. I went, all right, I need to just, clear this out here. So unfortunately, I don't have any Chase Elliott stuff in there, but, maybe next time.
Yeah. So there's probably, I don't know, at least 20 cars there, probably 30 cars, and we're gonna hand out probably 6 of them each night. We're not gonna dump them all at once, but over the next few weeks, we'll lay out 6 more at the end of the night and on the tail of the car, and kiddos come down and grab them. And looking forward to it. Thank you, Chris, for doing that.
That is no problem. And before we close, I also wanted to mention another thing. This episode is also brought to you by Kroll Media.
Yeah.
But also, with the month of June closing, it's very important. It's Men's Mental Health Month. Now, these cars are really cool. Did you know that we can replace all the parts on this car? But one of the things that's very important is your mental health. One of the things I'm going to ask you guys, the crew does a lot for Lou. I actually spot for him. I let him know where the cars are. One of the things I'm going to tell you is, who's spotting for you? This racing thing, I'm telling you, as we enter the late summer months, everything can blend together where it feels like, gosh, yeah, I feel like I've done this already. It can get frustrating. You can get upset. There's certain things that can happen. But understand, every now and then, just get away. Focus on your health, man. It's very important. Understand, we can replace these parts. Your mental health is very important. That's something that you can't order out of a catalog. So we can get any of these parts out of a catalog, but just make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your mental health, and just let you know at the end of the day, who's spotting for you, brother.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, Chris. I know as much as we all love this racing thing and, everything else we've got going on in life, you've definitely got to take care of yourself, right?
Oh, yeah.
Who's looking out for Chris Marshall?
That's
Chris
right.
Marshall. Who's
That's
looking
right.
out for Lou Goss? Lou Goss, right? And same goes for everyone who's watching this. And definitely just, talk to someone if you need to, just kind of look around. Is there some things you could change? A couple big things I've tried to focus on lately, if it means anything, is I've literally tried to get more rest. I mean, that's a big thing. I started wearing this biometric wash only lately, but even before getting this, really just trying, I feel so fresh in the morning, and it helps me the entire day. As much as I love working on this thing till 2 to 3 in the morning, then you got to punch in at 7:30. That doesn't really add up, right? So and that doesn't go for everybody. Some people don't necessarily have to do that, but if you need to make some changes, great.
Yeah, and this is not just for the drivers. It goes for the officials, the track crew, even the people that work in the concession stand. So you don't have to be a super late model guy to a pro late model guy to sport truck driver to quarter mile late model. So it's just want to focus on that. Like I said, we can do all this stuff here. We can work on the car. We can change everything. We can change everything but the driver. But like I said, just make sure that you're taking those steps to prioritize your mental health. Because like I said, racing is fun, but you don't want to get to that point where it just feels like you're going through the motions. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, Lou, did you have anything that you wanted to wrap up or mention before we end up taking off?
No, that was it. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Another great episode of the books.
Yeah, and I do want to thank you guys for tuning in to lap 21 of the LGR podcast, which we're still thinking of some names. So if you can think of some names that you may have in there, comment below on the video what you think, some of the names could be for the podcast, and maybe we'll take it to a vote or put it to a vote. Bring it to LGR court and decide on it. But until then, I'm Chris Marshall. He's Lou Goss. I'll see you guys next time. Yes.